Okay, it's time for Daily Game Design. Welcome. I have a couple of very concrete goals today. Actually, one was to finish up this kind of rule book writing resume. I just looked through the rest of the application. So there was a call for a rule book editor writer for like a fairly complex game, I guess. And I don't mind working on that kind of thing, partly because of my experience with Rise of Babel. Rise of Babel is not super it's not super complicated, but there are some really interesting like description problems to solve, mostly around um like spatial relationships, placement, stuff like that. And I think from what I remember, this publisher is working on something like a skirmish game where position is probably going to be very, very important. So I thought, yeah, I could probably help with that. And then I guess when they put out that call, they got an overwhelming number of applicants. So now they have this form that you're filling out. And anyway, you need like all this stuff for it. And I don't know, I might still do it. But anyway, it got me to kind of think about, because I have to upload a little resume. And it got me thinking about what would be useful on such a resume. So of course I have some writing experience here. That's like technical writing stuff for rule books themselves. Then yeah, I've got like a way of thinking about writing that I added on here. Also, there's my education and then work history. So I use Gemini to like compile a bunch of this stuff, and I'll go through and kind of rewrite and edit some of these things. But anyway, it's cool. Like to actually have a resume to send around. Something that it demonstrates that. Oops, I did it again. Shoot. Oh no. Oh man. You are welcome to email me. I just wonder if it's a personal information problem that I just revealed there. Let me take this tab out. Well, thankfully, actually, none of that information was complete, so hopefully that is okay. Anyway, the point is here. The point is to sit with you for an hour and get some work done. So anyway, there was the resume, and I was reminded of the urgency of getting this dice game done. So I don't want to spend too much time getting bogged down in some details. I want to have a draft, make a pitch, like a sell sheet and a pitch video, and then yeah, I renamed it. Okay, Party Wave, so that I have something to send over to Iello. They put out the call a couple weeks ago, and I just got a message. I see on my Instagram because I replied to their thing, and they have 500 likes, almost 30 responses, and they posted it. When did they post it? How can I tell? How can I tell? Yeah, I don't see in there. January 30. Okay, so it hasn't been a crazy amount of time, but still, like, I don't like to be this late. It would have been nice to be very early. I still think this is a unique game, and it probably has the simplicity they're looking for. That at least is my hope. But anyway, I had to abandon my well, I had to shift focus very quickly at the end of working on it yesterday because we had a retreat meeting, which was very productive and I thought very positive. So anyway, it's just awesome to have a solid team of people working on this, making progress on this. And yeah, it's just exciting to be building something that people care about and they're interested in. It's also great to have good help. So okay, so where I left off was in trying to describe turn order. So this, I think, is a kind of close, fairly useful representation. And I wonder if I should just put numbers. Where did I put those before? Just little numbers. I have them here. I think I might have too much stuff open. Anyway, I can come down in here, shrink these numbers. Maybe not. So do 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I also kind of want to do is do what I did over here, having this little frame thing, or this gradient that shows things fading out. So I can do that. It's not really strong enough, I think, but that's also okay. It just has to suggest fading, I think. But that's not very good. Oh, the color. The color is different. So on a white background, that's okay. What was the other? Oh, the shapes had a gradient themselves. So let me add get this out of here. I'm going to add a gradient to this itself. Okay, I think that's going to be very helpful. And then hopefully I can get the angle right. Yeah, that's pretty good, right? Just make sure the whole thing is kind of covered with this. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty effective. Right? Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now the I wonder if I need to do something like this, actually. Went over to my buddy Ronson's yesterday for the Super Bowl. Got a bunch of work done here and then headed over. It was a cool time. It was interesting that one of the ways he introduced several, well, like the group of people that was there was to say that a bunch of them are Survivor fans. I haven't watched Survivor in a long time. But there was a time when I was watching a lot. My friend James and I were watching in Washington. He was like a super fan. His memory's way better than mine, so like he's really good with like the characters and the story and everything. But But for me, I just kind of watch and enjoy the challenges. I like some of the drama, but I basically forget any of the details from show to show. Like they're just gone out of my memory. So I kind of don't remember who's up to what and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if this does work. But it was kind of cool, like, because Survivor was definitely a thing for me for a while. We applied twice. I applied at least twice. I think James applied more, and he actually got one interview. I'm pretty sure. So, like, do we need numbers here? Or should they be outside? Also, that's actually pretty effective. I like that. I like how that turned out. Um, yeah, do I like this? Hmm. Turn order, left to right, bottom to top. I think that's actually relatively clear. So that's actually, it's also a good spot for it, right? Like taking up some space over there. And now that I have this space, I can just kind of stick these off the side, but give them a little bit more respect. I might be able to blow this up slightly as well. This was definitely the most confusing part of the playtest for my friends on Sunday, was dealing with the turn order. Yo, Seth. Good morning. Do you have some goals for today? Yeah, I really do. Yeah, I like how this turned out quite a bit. Okay, then this needs to. How did this happen? I'm gonna wrap up this work project. Yeah, right on. PHP work on Force Commander. So that game you were playing on, what day was that? Was that Friday evening? When were you playing that? Let's see. That's when I was talking with you and Dave. What day was that? Friday. Yeah, War Machine. Is that a game you're actually interested in, or are you just kind of like experimenting and trying out different stuff? This might be overkill, actually. These arrows going up like this. Yeah, not too sure. So it's a little too busy right now, but at least the information is there. This needs a lot of playtesting, but I think it's actually close to being something that's like pitchable. I mean, I don't know. They're looking for dice games. I feel like this is probably unique enough to stand out at least a bit. It's probably a bunch of played in 2013. I think that's when I started. Never played competitively, though I played with people who did. It's not bad. It's just a couple of weird design elements. It just has a couple of weird design elements. I guess a lot of those games, they seem to thrive on asymmetry, like factional asymmetry. And it sounds like that's like very, very direct asymmetry, which sounds cool. Like, or complete asymmetry. I don't know how to say that. Similar goals, I guess. You're still on the same map, trying to destroy each other. So I guess the motivation is symmetrical, but your mechanically the inverse of each other. Right? Or maybe just the way that actions work. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I actually find I feel there's a kind of obsession with asymmetry. Like when I see a lot of design stuff going on in like the Facebook groups, so much of it is like I've designed 20 different factions, or every player has their own special abilities. And maybe that's cool, and it is I do think there's definitely something to it, especially for replayability. I haven't tried the leaders expansion of Arnak yet, not thoroughly, but it is cool that the solo/cooperative campaign expansion I got for Arnak is cool. Like, it was my first time trying out the leaders, and it's fun to have your own little game you're working on, your own little way to get cool stuff. So that feels good. It feels good that it's kind of unique to you. But I also get the feeling that it's kind of fashionable to do that. There might be a reason that there's a trend for it, as in it's just better design. But I kind of don't feel that way. I feel like it can also be overdone, asymmetry. Yeah, right. It's yeah. That's when you save some for expansion material, right? Because you can only take people so far. Yeah, especially early on, things can only be so different, or things can only be so weird. And then after that, there are clear good and bad choices. Yeah, yeah, right. That was a criticism I feel like I've seen come up on the Dice Tower. I'm pretty sure. But when you have a special ability, it railroads you into a certain way of playing, right? A certain play style. I've actually felt that way. I remember this stood out to me very much when I was just getting into or starting to play more Euros. There was a game I bought from Other Realms for Christmas, for their Black Friday, I guess, actually. Not Christmas. It's called Newton. And it's a very, very, very tight game, like tight economically. And every player starts with a slight advantage on their player board. And it's an you get an extra action or a stronger version of the action, and everybody has a different player board. And so I tried to take the hints that the game gave me at that point. Yeah. I think Newton is actually pretty cool. I've played it online on BGA and played it solo. And I got better. I definitely got stronger at it, but it took me a very, very long time to figure out what would work. And even now, if I were to play, I would be pretty lost. But there's one action type that it feels like clearly less useful now that I know the game a little better. Awesome. Now that I know the game better, it's like a less common action or less useful. At least when you're starting your engine. But I went for it. I trusted the game that what it was giving me as an advantage would actually be useful to me. And it probably is, but not, I don't know. It felt like it actually worked against me that I trusted it and went for it. And maybe I just didn't understand the game enough. No, certainly I did not understand the game enough, but I still felt a little betrayed. The game gave me that advantage, but it never felt like an advantage. I couldn't figure out how to use it like an advantage. So, okay, so the main innovations for the game board right now are adding this turn order graphic, and then also I think having a much clearer way to illustrate movement and the cost of movement. There's something completely unplay tested, which is having a different cost for every direction. I do think it's better, though. One thing I was thinking to have Gemini look at is the notion that it should be harder to move left. And it should be harder in a number of ways. Like right now, it's harder because of the way the turn order works. It's harder to make progress moving left. And the awkward part of this game will be in describing how things work, because the wave is actually a left wave. Like it's breaking left, meaning that it's most natural to be moving left, right? The wave is like closing out, and your surf, if you're coming, this is the shore, right? The green is the shore, the blue is out there in the ocean, and so you're coming toward shore. The wave is actually breaking left, which from our perspective, wait a minute. Should I just flip this around? This is going to be really annoying to do if I do this, but let me do it. I'm just going to go for it. It was a huge deal. Oh my goodness, why didn't I think about this before? It's like, whose perspective are we looking from? Right? That's kind of the question here. Whose perspective are we looking from? We should probably be looking from the surfer's perspective. I really don't know why I never thought of this before. That is really funny. Okay, so I think actually that's locked. Everything's locked. Good. This is locked. Nope, not locked. Okay. This is kind of good. This is going to be a little weirdly tedious, I think, to do this, but I'm going to give it a shot. I think this is a bad idea. Already, I think this is a bad idea. The reason I think that, well, wait a second. No, I'm going to go for it. I'm still going to go for it. But I realized I was thinking it's a bad idea because of where I usually sit with this sheet, and I usually sit with neutral dice in front of me on my, like, with, I'm sitting at the edge of this sheet where the neutral dice, I'm sitting at the neutral dice edge of this sheet. So as I build toward me, meaning the empty space is coming toward me. And so it just kind of makes more sense. It's kind of easier to, I think it's maybe easier to place dice in that sense. Maybe. The funny thing is, like, no matter what, somebody is going to be viewing the wave from the wrong direction anyway, so maybe this is all useless. Maybe. But at least I think updating the default orientation like this is kind of interesting. Okay, so I can just shift everything this way. Okay, now turn order is actually going to be the opposite. Now we're going to be checking from right to left. So I do need to change this, which is should be as easy as just changing the numbers. Nope, it's actually not just as easy as changing the numbers. What I wish I could do is just flip everything, and I'm not sure I can. I guess what I can do is this. I can rotate everything, but I don't think I could flip everything. Where did the turning thing go? Okay. Move everything this way. But yeah, now all of this stuff needs to move or be flipped. Oh, I bet I could group it and rotate it. It would be amazing to me if this made a difference. I don't know why I had this sort of directional bias. I really don't understand it. Maybe it's just I'm used to looking out on the shore, like at Koalas, where the game started. I'm used to thinking that I'm on the shore and I'm doing stuff on the shore, but also looking out at the waves. I did. Yeah, I made another sheet. Here's the original and here's the updated one. That would be, yeah, definitely a mistake. Just all of a sudden abandoned. I am prone to do stuff like that, but thankfully, no, in this case, I didn't. Actually, this stuff should be grouped. And then I need to find I want to find the center of for all three of these things. It's not pretty, but it's not bad. Also, why are these shapes way off right now? Like, why did this slide somehow? Seth, I feel like you're the kind of guy who wouldn't care about the Super Bowl. Am I right? You are correct. But what I think could be interesting to you, though, is all the issues around language coming out around the halftime show. Not issues, but the passionate debate over the status of English in the U.S. I feel like that could be interesting to you. It's not important, and I really don't want to make things political, but it's a cool problem, like whether or not a national language makes any sense. And with so many Spanish speakers in the US, like, yeah, anyway, like, yeah, policy around language is pretty interesting. I don't like to get involved with that kind of thing in general, but it is kind of interesting, especially with how strong people's feelings are, because I know what it's like to be in a linguistic minority because I've lived in other countries a fair amount, and it doesn't feel good, right? It never feels good to not really understand what's going on. So anyway, super strong feelings about language, of course, because most of the halftime show is in Spanish. So as you can imagine, there is a faction of people who are super not cool with um, yeah, super not cool with that kind of thing. Authoritarian control point. It's easily established a two-tiered class system. I don't value either of those things. Yeah. Yeah, national language. Right. Yeah, I think that's right. You get a class system out of it. As we got with French and English. After the Battle of Hastings, 1066, the ruling class were French speakers, and of course that's why most animal names that we use, or many animal names, come from Germanic languages, or whatever the like English as the descendant of a Germanic pool of languages, and then those same animals, when they become food, are like they have French origin. So that's exactly it. It was, yeah, definitely a two-tiered system. The peasants talking about the animals, the nobility talking about the food that the animals become. Yeah, that really caught my attention with like history of English stuff in grad school. I don't think I'd ever heard stuff about that before. Ever thought about it. Okay, so I'm starting to rearrange things here. Okay, one major problem with this right now is that where should the neutral dice go? I feel like the neutral dice should still be down here, but this definitely complicates the spacing of other things. Because this is a great space for the movement stuff. Actually, let me just try it. You need to stop. You need to get locked down. Okay. Unlock you. The problem is with neutral dice just kind of hanging here. Like everything really does need to shift down, I think. I just don't think I like neutral dice at the top of the board. That's all I'm kind of saying. But this would come down. I guess it wouldn't have to be. They could be off to the side, perhaps. Like if this is tucked right in here, is it enough space? Is it enough space for the movement rules? This is actually not bad. This needs to be flipped around as well. I am really attracted to the idea that it would be easier to analyze from this perspective. I don't know why I feel like that right now, but for some reason that makes sense to me. So this is going to spin around. This is going to be that hard. Yeah, I think it could be easier to figure this way. Oh, I hope. Okay, neutral dice are still here. That's good news. Move this up. Because I could definitely just move this stack limit thing out of here. Because that should be technically maybe over somewhere, not up where movement rules need to sit. This turn order is having trouble. I can stick these along the edge here, and I can bring turn order back down. Oops. Back down here in the corner where it should be, because we're starting in this corner anyway. So that's pretty good. It also looks like I have room to blow it up a little bit. Second last session of Mage on Sunday. People are leaving the group as they got jobs they can't game. Oh, wow. Wait a second. Let's look. So Twilight Imperium 4 on Saturday. We used a number of optional rules that sped the game up as someone won on turn 3. What's the average time of a turn? Or like, what was the total playtime then? By ending on turn 3, what was the total playtime? Do something like this and just kind of sneak it in here. Round 10, ended round 3. Okay. Nice. Yeah, so 5 hours compared to like 9 or 11 or something like that. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, I'd be super down with that. Actually, I mean, 5 hours is doable. I've played a couple games that are in that time range. I suffered through what's the name of it? Game of Thrones, the board game, 2nd edition. That was one of the early times I'd ever played a long game. I went with my friend Chris. We went to somebody's house, and I just like suffered the whole time, because I was not a threat, but I did have what I thought was an amazing called shot in Mage. One player cast a spell to read the future, and I predicted that they would do something in a particular location, and then they did without realizing it. So Mage, I know you were playing Mage in person, and that one sounded pretty cool, but that it could get very much out of hand, right? Because people can like warp time or like mess with time. So it sounded really cool, but like a massive weight on the DM or GM, right? Like it's a lot for you to keep track of, right? Online game and in-person game. That must have felt pretty awesome. Yes, that stuff is cool. Yikes. Whoa, I didn't know that could happen. So I think this is actually a cool update too. I mean, flipping it around like this, because I think it'll also connect thematically a little better when I talk about the game. Like in the pitch video and stuff. Because as abstract as this is, it's absolutely super abstract. There are a couple things that actually make it a little more like surfing than it could have been. In particular, the turn order. But I think now being able to visualize it. See, the whole reason I ran across this idea is because I was just about to confuse myself and you or whoever ends up watching about the direction of waves. Because on the page, surfers are going from left to right, but on the wave, it's a left breaking wave. Yeah, so they in their minds, they're moving left. Because they're coming toward us, right? So I think we now need to be the surfers. Like, we need to see it from the surfer's perspective. And that way, the language cleans up, like the descriptions clean up, and connect thematically, I think, better. It's also a kind of a neat image to, like, imagine sitting in the water waiting for your wave, and then, like, catch the wave and start to cut and carve and everything. And to actually view that process from the surfer's perspective rather than this weird thing of the surfers that are like kind of dropping down toward us. So even though this is something, it's kind of there's a word I'm looking for. Even though it's kind of what's another word for like makeup? Or like what it is, it's not aesthetics. What's the word for like people that work on makeup or like do makeup? Oh, thanks. Yes. Thank you so much. This is a cosmetic change, largely. You said one more. 5, third column. Yes. It feels cosmetic, but I think the theme actually connects way harder by flipping it around this way. I think you said 3 numbers. 5, third column on the left, and 4. Oh, no, it was just 2. What an eye. What a sharp eye. How do you do that kind of stuff? That's what I want to know. You know what? After the Super Bowl, I was considering going over to Armchair because there's a group playing Pendragon on Sunday afternoons, and I really want to see that game because it sounds thematically, it sounds super cool to me. I think I would enjoy at least the setting, at least the theming of it. Here's another thing I really like about this. I like that this worked out to try to keep numbers higher over here, at least in the starting point, because the wave would probably be much steeper on this side over here. So like getting onto the wave is like more intense, more technical. Oh wait, this is a 9. That's not confusing at all. Yeah, so like the wave would be like super steep, fast right here, and it kind of gets more mellow as you go out. So I think that's a cool feature of this game. But I'm a little nervous that it is highly calculable, and or at least it will feel calculable, and people will actually get stuck on what should be a really fast-paced game, like stuck counting their dice, looking at the spaces, you know. So I'm slightly nervous that it won't connect for that reason. I mean, that it wouldn't be really fun or like fast-paced and engaging for those players who get stuck in that kind of calculation, and also players who are with those people. I wonder if I should just make these, just keep increasing this. Because what this is communicating is that like with the steepest part being here, like this might be a little too easy to swing down, do a shape, swing down to get the high points. Is that what that is? Are Coin Games RPGs? Is that the company? The publisher? You know what? I'm going to change this. I'm just going to go for it. Like make it legitimately steeper. So it's 8, 7, 6s, 5s. And I'll do a 7 over here. I'm okay with that. And this could be a 6. 8, 7, 8. Ooh. So I get the same pattern here actually. So I think that's okay. 8, 7, 6, 9, 8, 7, 6. And what is happening here? Coin is counterinsurgency. Oh. For them, but never played one. Heard good things though. Wait, when you mean other coin games, did I mention a coin game without knowing it? Eight, 7, 8, 7. This should be. Should this be 8, 9, 8? I feel like nobody would go this way. That's partly what I'm nervous about. Like 2 8s in a row. Is that too much? I don't know. I'm gonna try. Oh, actually, 8, 9, 8, 7, 8, 7. Okay, so that's good. And then this can start coming back down, but so 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. 5, 6. Should I do the same thing? 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. I just think that's way too tough. Pendragon, the Fall of Roman. Oh, last one. So Pendragon is an RPG. And I don't know if that's different from what you're describing. It probably is the same. Yeah, it looks like it's the same. I don't know what makes it a wait. Oh, the Fall of Roman. Yeah. Well, the reason I said, oh, maybe, yeah, not okay, yeah, not a board game. But the reason I said it could be the same is that they're describing this time period, which is exactly this: the fall of the Roman Empire. It's like super early. It's like still Dark Ages, and it just sounded really nuts, like a really crazy time period where you've still got Rome going on, like the Roman Empire still hanging on to Constantinople. They're still somehow active. Um, like Rome is still a thing, but it's crumbling, and it's just this kind of crazy time, political time where everything is in flux, and it sounds like really wild and very historical. Apparently, a bunch of that stuff is relevant in the game itself. Should I keep going systematically here? Systematically, I kind of don't want to, but maybe I should. Maybe this is a little too chaotic. I'm going to try a more systematic version. I'm going to copy this. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, this is just way too tight. I mean, like, there's nobody is gonna have the dice to be over here. I don't think so. I think this is far too steep. I don't know. Let me think about this. So what if I started here with 3s? Also, I know there is definitely a possibility 7, 6. I know we could definitely 4, 5, 4. Wait. 4, 5, 6. 7, 6. Wait, 7, 8. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3. So then this. This is all without playtesting, so it's very, very sketchy ground here. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. 5, 6. 8, 7. Okay, 4, 5. And I think this should drop. Like, this side should be generally lower numbers, I think. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How do I do this now? No, I think this needs to be going up on this side. 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. No. 3, 4. Like, I think a 5 should be here for some reason. 5, 4, 3, 2. 5, 4, 3. 5, 4, 4, 3, 3 maybe? 4, 4. The reason that these numbers need to be getting smaller is actually having small numbers is really important. And it's hard, right? Like, because you can't stack a 1. So that's why it actually needs to be less likely for players to have what they need to get right here. So that's why it's okay if it's like a 2. Maybe a 4 here. And it can kind of dip in the middle to be 1, 2, 2. Let me see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, there's this steep drop off, right? So it could be like that this drops down to a 6. Let's do something like this. And this would be a 4. This would be a 2. So 6, 3, 1. Sure. Let's make this a 5. Oops. 5 and then 2. I'll make this a 4. So like 4s are pretty easy to make. Because it could be a 4, it could be a 3 and 1, or it could be a 2 and a 2. The 5 is even easier to make. 7, I guess, is the easiest to make. But it still requires 2 dice. That's the main thing. So I guess 6 is the... see, I don't know how to think about that, to be honest. Like, I'm just kind of rolling intuitively here. Four, 5, 6, 7, 5, 4, 4, 4, 5. 4, 4, 3, 2, 2. So I like that it kind of stabilizes right here in this last one, and then it tips higher to lower. I think that's cool, because here's lower to higher. And then here's the kind of neutral one, and then this goes higher to lower. I think that's kind of a cool pattern. Now what's going on here? So 4, 3, okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. So this is the spiciest. This is the spiciest row going this way. This is the spiciest column. Second spiciest column. So right here is like the tough area. Whereas I think this should actually still be tough. But by shooting out this way, no, I think this should be the most difficult of all, actually, now that I'm thinking of it. Because you don't want people to be able to shoot out here and then have an easy time making it into this 1, because that's where the big points are going to be. So let me do this again. So 8, 9. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 5. How did I miss this? What is happening here? 5, 5, 6, and then probably 7 here. And then probably 5 here. And then 2 and then 1. So you need like super specific stuff to shoot this way. Five, 5, 5, 6, 7. 4, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind that. Let's see if that makes sense. So 7s, 5s, 4s, 8s, 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3. Should this be another 3? I'm going to try that. And then 9, 7, 6, 4, 4, 3, 2. Cool. 7, 5, 3, 2, 2, 5, 2, 1. 4s, 5s, and 3s. Yeah, that seems kind of interesting. Oops. I think the weirdest part about this game is that people are going to be having to sit around the sheet. So some players are just going to have a weird view. And I don't know what to think about that, or whether to care about that or not. Ooh, that was the first connection crash of the stream, looked like. Not too bad. Yeah, yeah, I like what's happening over here. 6, 7, 8, 7, 7. Yeah, what's going on in this direction? 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 7. Like, should this be a 6 instead of a? No, I don't know. 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5. So the high spot is right here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2. Wait a minute. Okay, then the high spot is right here. Yeah, there's this weird area of like kind of inconsistency, but I mean they're gonna cross at some point, right? Like the trend in numbers. So it's okay if this is a little bit weird here, I think, this section. Hmm. Also, when I play tested on Saturday with Megan and Chase, they mentioned how well we were trying to think of some other abilities, like other special abilities, and hmm. And one of them would be like longboard versus shortboard. So you could either upgrade or you could like buy a different board maybe, or you could just pick whether you're on a longboard or a shortboard at the start of the wave. So a shortboard would be really focused on making shapes, whereas a longboard would be focused on moving quickly to like get down to points down here. So that could be kind of cool. But this is what I'm thinking about right now. So I just did all that work describing, oh, these need to change. Not a gray anymore. So I did all that kind of reasoning through to like make the right side like way steeper, way more expensive in terms of dice, pips, right? Adding up pips. But it's also more expensive to move that way if you're going to skip spaces. And so I don't know how this would work out balance wise to make it more pips to go right and also more expensive to jump right. Well, I guess it will kind of balance out the issue where you have somebody working on stuff on the right side over here, and then somebody just cuts in and just kind of steals their points. So making it harder to cut in like that is it also could be a good thing, like kind of a balancing thing. Because it's hard on the people trying to go right and make cool shapes anyway. And then if you just have somebody flying in from the left, stealing their points, that might not feel good. So kind of reduce the likelihood that that's going to happen because they're going to have to be paying a lot of points anyway to kind of do what they want to move right. That's my thinking there. Yeah, I like it. It's crazy how much this one has changed. I guess all of these games change a lot. But this is Party Wave. Maybe I could drop this down here in the background. Kind of cute, right? There's nothing up here. I don't think there has to be anything up here, but that's could be useful space. Guess I want to be in the middle now. Yeah, I don't know. This is cool. I'm going to print it for tonight, so at least I can try to get a couple more play tests in. Okay, I did change the numbers here. Yeah. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, this is the opposite. That was a close one. I still need to. This actually still needs to be 1 this way. Oops. This still needs to. Let me figure this out actually. Because it's still whoever is closest to the shore is going to go first. So this actually did need to be reversed. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how I missed this. Like, what? Huh. Right? Yeah. So whoever's closest to the shore is going to get to go first. So we're checking from the shore to the ocean over here. So I think this is, yeah, this is correct. That would have been a tragedy. Oops. Are Rick and Madonna here yet? I like those two a lot. They're really fun to be around. Expect since we're getting. Sure. Yeah. Like I had a lot of fun um like yeah, sitting with Rick for Talisman. And just because how unseriously he took it and how important that was. And also Madonna. We're just having a goofy time. I feel like that was really good. Okay. I feel good about that. I've actually been kind of cavalier in my printer ink use these days, and I think it's been good for me just to like let loose, not take it as a waste to like print out prototypes, because that's why I have that ink. Like that's why it exists, is so I can print out prototypes. But I printed this one like 4 or 5 times already, in all these different iterations. Four three four three five. I like it. I like there's a little dip here. Yeah, I think that will pay off. 45543 56532 67542. Good. 7 8. I like that there's like this little hump as well. On the way down. Oh. Well, you know what I can do too is give this a green tint. Actually, hang on. It's just to really, really reinforce that this is the shore and that this is the ocean. So from left to right, from shore to ocean. It's also really important. I don't know why it's so unintuitive. Maybe I don't know. It might be an issue of like figuring out how to describe this dynamic more clearly. But I think it is kind of confusing for somebody to understand that there are ways you can go twice in a row, and that's a really important mechanic for this game. But that once they go, you continue checking the column, and that's why it's important to go all the way to the end here. I would just need a bunch of like clear examples in the rule book, but I wonder if I could put the score up here, or like the steps for ending a wave. Yeah, let me do that actually. Got a little space and a little time. Ending the wave. So the first thing is to score. And I don't have room for all of this. So score. Give us a number. A line left. Score. Actually, no. Claim skill card. Score. Reroll neutral dice. Reroll scoring die. Is that it? Claim skill card. Score, reroll neutral dice. Reroll scoring dice. This is not quite clear. Reroll used neutral dice. I don't love that this takes up so much space. That neutral is. Should I call these party dice? It at least cuts down the length. I'm going to call them party dice for fun. Heart tree dice. Used party dice. Takes up slightly less space. Just can't read it now, that's all. Party! Yeah, because I don't know what else to call them, and I feel like Party Wave could have party dice. Right? There's no way to shift this over. It's already very tight, so there is no more room over here. Reroll. Could I save space if I do this? Scoring die. I do save a little horizontal space. Global dice, shared dice, group dice, used global dice. Global, I think, is the right idea. I feel like that's kind of a tough word to throw in here for some reason. Used. Common dice. Common gets us back up to the neutral length, but use shared is not bad. I would say common is interesting, actually. Common dice. I would probably take shared over common, but I do like common. Neutral is common. Actually, common, I guess, works a little better than shared. It's unfortunate how long it is. Should I make a decision about this based on how long the word is and how much space it takes up in this corner area, which is going to be nothing like what it would be like when it would be published? One of the problems here is used. I can do this. Ooh. Reroll used common dice and scoring die. That does it. That saves me space. Ending the wave. Claim skill card. Score. Reroll used common dice and scoring die. Sounds like you answered your own question. Did I? Is that what happened? Ending the wave. Common dice. I'm going to try that out. Thank you for that suggestion. Common dice. Is common better than neutral? I think so, because common suggests more of a pool that's available to everybody, whereas neutral maybe doesn't really get there. So I do like that. I like that. I like answering my own questions too. In fact, I prefer answering my own questions sometimes, but I don't think I did that in this case. I guess it depends on what the question was you're talking about. I like how that sits in there too with this like this diagonal line, and we get a natural little diagonal there. That's fun. Ooh, I like it. I like it. I think I have something to print here. I really do like UI UX problems. I feel like I'm not a professional, but as the more time I spend doing this kind of thing, um, of course, the more practice I get, because this is all about illustrations and images that try to communicate to the players how to do things, right? So it was interesting how, like, this did not communicate anything. This did not communicate very much. It didn't communicate what it needed to. So since it didn't, and it was pretty obvious that it didn't, it's nice to add some tweaks. Like I added any number to that um, icon. And adding colors here, I think, produces an effect. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna call this good for now. The size, I do feel like the size is better. Yeah, I printed off a larger one because these hexes were way too small. So I printed off a larger one for the Megan and Chase playtest, I'm pretty sure. So I'll make an image first, and then I'll make a PDF and print the PDF. Because I really am fairly confident in the gameplay itself. Now it's kind of cool just to kind of spend time tweaking. Wait, is this the one I downloaded? No. No, I meant to download 5. Excuse me. Seth, do you think that an RPG would be worth your time at the retreat? And if so, like, what would need to be true about that RPG? Would it need to be like something you hadn't seen before? Would you want it to be um, a classic? How would you want to limit the number of people playing? That kind of stuff. Yeah, probably not a great time. I really want to beef up our playtesting for designers. Like I would love to figure out more, yeah, better structure, a way to get, yeah, a way to get more prototypes to the table. I would love that. You do a great job of assembling your own group. I'm not as good at that, but I wish we could support people in doing that. I know we announced that we'll have prototypes, but we don't have like a dedicated place or dedicated group that is interested in that. That's why I wish we got more designers out. I don't know what we could do to encourage more designers. Find a way to promise that their games are going to get play tested. And also, I mean, eventually it'd be to get like actual like professional full-time designers to join us. Okay, now a PDF, and then I think I'll be done for today, at least on stream. Don't enjoy playing in most RPGs. As a game master, I would want to be able to run a game that people are interested in playing and have a promise that people will play. Right. Yeah, we ran into that issue last time because Jesse gave set out a sign up, and people we didn't get people signed up for his game, and then our other guy Skip, he was like so committed to his game, but it wasn't obvious that he was going to get players. And then he just sat for so long, kind of worked on his game, had it set up, tried to attract people, and then thankfully the couples group jumped in on his game. But that wasn't it wasn't obvious that he was going to get players, and that was one of the main reasons he came up. But I feel like that is something we can't promise people. So if I mean, maybe it's setting appropriate expectations, especially since RPGs are kind of new to the retreat. Um, I mean, the more momentum we get, obviously, the more likely we'll have people to play. But it's almost like we need a threshold, like a what is that kind of minimum number idea? I can't think of it. You know what though? That's why we're trying to encourage people. This time for sure we're trying to encourage more people to essentially sign up for slots with games they want to host way further in advance. Critical Mass, my goodness. You did it again. You did it again. Thank you. Isn't it the craziest thing that you know it's in there? You know the word is in there, but my recall is so bad. As a customer, it's a tough pill to swallow to say, pay for a ticket, plan a game, and maybe you will just sit there for 4 hours. I can do that at home. Absolutely. No, it was like one of my least favorite things in the world to see Skip just sitting there at his table. And on some level, we can prepare better, and that's what I'm describing. We can develop some systems that encourage people to make commitments a little bit earlier, and then at least have ways of kind of showing off what it is people want to do, what it is they want to host. And that way, either you know for sure that the thing you wanted to do is not going to get off the ground this time. That's as an example, that's what Stefan did, because he wanted to play this like crazy 24-hour game or something, like it's a game called Perseverance, and he felt the group out on Facebook, and like nobody took him up on it, and at least he knew not to bring that and to bring something else that would be more likely to get played. So I think yeah, more earlier will be better for us in that sense, because that was like painful to see that he was like sitting there for so long and was not getting anybody to bite. So on one hand, I think it would be better for people in his position to have just really healthy expectations, which say, yes, I'm going to bring this thing. It might work, it might not, and I'll be okay either way. So come with that attitude, but also we can build some systems that make a misfire less likely. We can definitely do that. Getting into games, prepping with other customers, not the facilitators, to plan out games. Well, what do you mean there? Like that's that doing that kind of prep ahead of time is working well, or it's not working well, or it's what you want, or it's not what you want. Because Stefan effectively was a facilitator, because he actually put out a game that I signed up for. That was like one of the few games I played on the weekend, and I knew I had to play it. Luthier, I had to sit down to that game, so I did everything I needed to have the free time to do that. And he brought the game up on Facebook, and got a few people interested. But then the weekend of, we put a sign-up sheet out for it, and 2 of us signed up, and we ran the game. So we felt the group out on Facebook. The most of getting into games, prepping with other customers. Yeah, so he was kind of like both, right? He was both customer and facilitator. Whereas what we haven't done yet is make sure that the games that we're offering are posted beforehand, so that, by our facilitators. Like Phil is going to be a facilitator for us. I think Mason is going to come up. Let's see. Talking to other people who played a bunch of games, they seem to have planned out the games they wanted to play in advance with other people. They knew where going. I talked to you, the guy running the retreat, about running a game, and it didn't go off. Yeah. So, and are you talking like specifically about Yes Your Grace or something else? Yeah, I think I'm actually a layer removed. I'm a step removed from things actually happening. And that, I think, is part of the issue. Like if it seems like, in my case, it was Yes Your Grace, but I don't have an expectation it would be different with another game. Yeah, because I'm not actually, if I was facilitating a game, I think I'm the right one to talk to. For sure, right? Like if you want almost like a more guaranteed experience that particular game is going to happen, then, and I'm running it or I'm joining it, that is a specific kind of situation where you have a little more confidence. I talk to people running the event to succeed, not talking to other people who don't seem to be directly involved with the organization of the event. I see what you mean. Yeah. The thing is, like, I think it's a really interesting, kind of difficult management puzzle for me because I can encourage people to play, but I can't force them to play. So we can set out signups, we can announce things, we can make things sound as interesting as possible. I mean, the people organize the retreat. Yeah, I think yeah, still my thinking, as I'm processing out loud is that we want to do our best to help people do what they want to do with the retreat. And that means making announcements, it means setting out sign up sheets. But when it actually comes to a thing happening, I know there are certainly things that I dropped the ball on, like we had tournaments that we never really pushed forward. That to me was like a personnel issue. And I think we'll have that stuff solved this time. We have, I think, a more enthusiastic core that will actually be able to facilitate some of those things this time. So some of it is just like, the situation of biting off more than I could chew given the help we had for some of this stuff. But yeah, I think you've identified something important, which is that it's another way to go about this is that we need to do a better job of helping players connect with each other. Because telling us that you're interested in doing something is a great start, and so we can make it formal. We can present it in a way that hopefully we attract some people. But it's definitely best, safest to go with the actual players because most of us are not going to be playing most of the time. I'm not going to be playing most of the time, so I can't be somebody who's actually there giving the thing itself momentum because I'm actually playing. So yes, that I don't know what to do about that. As I said, you did a great job gathering people who were willing. Yeah, because I feel like I remember announcing it and stuff, but I don't know. Yeah, again, it's a management puzzle because I don't want to pressure people into doing stuff they don't want to do. That's not what the retreat is about. So I can encourage, we can incentivize. Actually, we are going to try to incentivize a little bit more this time. I think I am going to go for a play and win section. I've started sending emails out to publishers. So we can find ways to incentivize participation. That's another system we could build. I don't love it because I wish that people were just kind of up for things and up for trying things. But there could be games and experiences that we offer. Conventions I've gone to, you talk to a central authority, either as a game runner or as a player, and they do the work to make the game happen. That seems to be offered, but it doesn't get delivered. I feel like I keep getting burned by working with the organizers of the event to make the game happen when I should just be talking to other customers about playing games. Yeah, huh. Right. I feel like, yeah, a lot of people come already with like um pre-established relationships that make getting some of those things done much more easily. And that's part of the problem, right? Because that turns into clicks. People are very cliquish as gamers, and so it makes it hard to cut in and pull people away from their groups they came with already. That is something else we're hopefully working on this time, like giving more opportunities for people to get to know each other, or for people who are new to get to know, some of our folks. So I think we're bringing some more attention to that part of it. Because I think there are some forces working against certain types of things happening. Like there are forces working against Skip running his Firefly game or Serenity game. I forget which it is, Serenity. There are forces working against that. And we can do our best as organizers to help mitigate some of those forces. But I don't know. Again, we can't force people to do stuff, and I don't want to. So it's how do we encourage more people to be more open to new experiences and new people. Okay. I forget. I kind of kept messing with him a little bit because I think he's playing the RPG is Serenity or something, and maybe I kept saying Firefly. I forget. But he's like very specific. It has to be a certain way. Yeah, so that's a tough one. And I mean, it's good to hear this because I can certainly imagine that was very unsatisfying to to come with some expectation that you'll be able to get a thing to the table. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a tough puzzle. I'm not sure what to do about it exactly. So, like, what would you think? Maybe there's a disambiguation. Firefly being the board game, Serenity is the RPG. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, so what would you offer as a solution for that? Let's say somebody comes, they want to run something, and they tell us, we put out signups, we let people know, we make announcements about it, and then it doesn't happen. Like, what would be some ways for that thing to be more likely to take off? More likely, not guaranteed. I don't think we can guarantee that, but what would make it more likely to take off? Yeah, and guaranteed we lost people because we didn't meet their expectations. And that's not my favorite thing at all. I really wish we could meet everybody's. And I think the better I become in finding a team, don't talk to the event organizers about running games. Talk to other customers about playing them. Yeah. I think that is actually, given the structure of this event, the current structure of this event, I do think talking with the players who are likely to be playing or people who are likely to play and getting them on board is helpful. It's important. I think there could be some things that we offer, we announce, and people hear about for the first time. They're like, yeah, that sounds awesome. They sign up. So there could be moments like that. Like they sign up spontaneously, depending on, how we frame the experience. But the only thing that the only solution that is occurring to me right now is that we could add an incentive to play. So we don't have many incentives. It could be like, a raffle ticket here or there. That's something that is coming to mind. I don't know if it's a great idea, but maybe a little incentive system could help. So if a person came to an organizer about running a game, they should be advised on how to best succeed. So told where people meet, where people talk, Facebook, Discord. I agree. I think that's really important. That's another reason why we have set up a separate Facebook group. We now have a Facebook group. We have a Discord channel. dedicated to the retreat, and we're going to be posting pretty soon a spreadsheet where we'll have people start populating. We'll have people start populating that spreadsheet with things they want to do or games they want to host, and hopefully more people will become more aware earlier of what it is they can choose to do. So hopefully we're approaching a system that will produce a greater likelihood of success. Yeah. Yeah, so if I did guarantee anything, I do apologize about that. I don't know if that is something that you've kind of remembered, or if I did that. So, oh yeah, guaranteed we'll get people to play test your game. So I imagine that is something I would have said with too much confidence. But what I do want to say with confidence is that we will help. Like, I love that you bring up a prototype and get people to play, and I want to encourage that kind of behavior. You know, so yeah, if we're failing in that, you know, if the retreat has been dissatisfying in that regard, in that way, then that's definitely something I want to work on. But I think it's another thing too, where like it's really good that you have gone, you know, that you've showed up to. I mean, in your case in particular, that you've come to the design meetup, so people know you. They know some of the stuff you're working on. That I think you've played at Armchair a couple of times. So I think that's a kind of designer an approach that a process that we as designers also need to go through is like the building of relationships, because you know they're like I sat down I'll make a sign up sheet. There's an implicit suggestion that those things will be successful. Yeah, right. Or at least you'll get further down the road by working with us. Yeah, that's right. So I sat down. This was Friday night. I was hoping to play some Magic. Sat down with outside of Armchair with Josh, Phil, and Dean. I shouldn't out them like this, but I said, you know, I didn't bring it because they hadn't brought any games, so they were just sitting there. I think Dean had Far Away or something. So, but anyway, they weren't playing anything, and so I sat down with them and I said, "Well, I brought my prototypes. I would really like for you guys to try my surfing game." And they all just looked at me. and just like basically ignored the suggestion. Dean would kind of like look confused. That's his way of like kind of deflecting, like, "Oh, surfing game?" And Josh didn't say a word, just looked at me. Phil was like, and nothing happened. So there's a decent number of people just in the case of getting people to play. That's already hard because already a lot of people don't want to touch something unless they are confident that the experience is going to be something that interests them, you know, where they don't feel super out of control, right? Where they kind of feel like, okay, yeah, this is already the baseline is this is probably going to be a good experience. There are a bunch of people that just won't play prototypes. I remember that from another guy. Like, I brought out a prototype and he said, "I don't play prototypes." He just said, "I don't play prototypes." So that's already an uphill battle, right? Getting people to play something that's incomplete, unless, like me, they love that. So that's why I want to keep fostering, you know, design community so that we can find people who are more likely to play our games, right? Find more people who are likely to play our prototypes. Anyway, that was pretty wild. And I still love those guys. That's the crazy part, right? let me see how this turned out. Okay, so here's the difference. Here's the difference between what I printed originally. This was the very first, I think this is the first time I printed a color version. That's this one. This is an older one here. So you can see how much smaller the hex grid is. Well, no, let me put them side by side, I guess. So the size is quite different. Now, obviously, the orientation is very different. The UI stuff, or the like the player help stuff, is better. There's more of it on the page. Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for hanging out, Seth. Hope you get your responsibilities taken care of there. Good luck in your stream this afternoon. And hopefully we get some of these things sorted out so that more people are satisfied more of the time. Because that's what we want. We just want a nice experience. We know we're not going to hit the mark every time, but we do want to bring people out to a beautiful place to have a nice time together. That's the overall goal. So anyway, thanks for your input on that. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye for now.